This is a welcome video, particularly to Candace, Mudisile, and also Ndobeko Shishi, who recently got baptized, right? Now, not welcome in the sense of them being born again, but welcome in the sense of them making a public statement of their faith. That's kind of like the route that some have gone, and we know that didn't pan out very, I remember another lady who came out not long ago. She said she was Christian and whatnot. She was raised in a Christian home. We spoke about her, and then she went on to say things that were very questionable about the Bible, and very soon she herself then came out and said she was a Sangoma. And so for one to make a public statement of faith, it's quite, especially in this day and age where everybody is a Sangoma, everything is Sangoma, everything is traditional, everything is African. The message of salvation is very much dwindling from the celebrity side. But for the two of you guys coming out and making a public statement of your baptism, I did see Shishi's video at first. And it was quite with a very lengthy caption, and also Candace then also shared a video as well showing her baptism. Now, the reason why I wanted to come here and speak about it particularly, it's also in this particular video, in this particular verse here. It's Galatians chapter number 5 and verse number 1. I'm going to just kind of like lighten the load of what the verse says in its simple sense. He says, it is for you, stand therefore, okay? The reason why this verse is quite an interesting one or an important one, particularly to the believer, it's how he lays out our position. He says, stand therefore in the liberty wherein Christ has made us free. So he did the freedom. He brought us to freedom. We didn't do that. He did that. Okay? He said, stand therefore in the liberty where Christ has made you free. Now this brings up the subject matter of studying where you stand. Where you stand about your salvation. Like when I say I'm born again, what does that mean? Okay? What does it mean with in part of my relationship with God? What does that look like? That's the thing that you are really tackling here first. Okay? Saying, understand this, where you stand, okay, in your freedom. And be not entangled again in the yoke of bondage. Now, he says, again. Meaning there was something that had entangled you back then when you could not make the decision to Christ publicly. And what was that like? What did that look like? Again, rules of man over the scriptures. Okay, the simplicity of salvation in Ephesians chapter number 2, verse number 8, being that by grace are we saved, that not of ourselves, it is the gift of God, not of man, lest any man should boast. Okay, and then he brings us into that particular picture of God having done it for us or on our behalf. And so this verse is quite important. It says, be not entangled in those yokes that you had before, man's form of religion over God. And then he says, but behold, I, Paul, say that if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. These people that so much invest themselves in the body, in the things of the body, says it will not benefit you anything, particularly when it comes to your salvation. For I testify to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to the law. So basically, you bind yourself to the yoke of the law if you do so. He says, Christ is become of none effect, whosoever of you is justified by the law. If you thought the deeds that you were doing put you in the right, you have made him of none effect. The testimony that you said you hold of the cross, it's of none effect because your doctrine is so defiled, it doesn't have Christ doing it for you, which is what? Do not go back to the yokes that bound you. What were these yokes? Self-improvement and self-thinking. Now, we're not saying people don't improve in behavior, in well-being and whatnot. No, we're not saying people don't improve in those areas. We're saying that does not contribute towards your message of salvation. Stand. But there's this part here that I want to end it on. He says, ye did run well. Who did hinder you that you should not obey the truth? Notice, he's going back to that verse number 1 there and saying, you were told the truth. This is the truth. Christ did it for you. Christ brought you to a fulfilled relationship with God. Who hindered you? That's the question he's asking. Okay? And remember in the opening, he says what? There's all these yokes that people don't go back to. There is also verse number 13 there. If you go down, it says, brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. So you were called to what? Liberty. You live in the, Paul in Romans chapter number 8, he started off very well. He says, what is it that's going to hinder the believer when it comes to the love that God has shown towards the believer here? And he says there is none. He says there is no condemnation to them that are in Christ Jesus, who walk in faith and not in thing. And so right there you have that particular testimony that you see here. You are called unto liberty. I serve while I'm getting better. It's not like this thing of saying I'm going to get better, then I'm going to come to church so that you guys can see a perfect image. No, you're going to see a very rusty image right in front of you. I'll grow right in front of you. He says, you have been called unto liberty, only not to use liberty for an occasion for the flesh. He says, let it benefit your spiritual maturity. Salute to everybody that stands, especially those that are in the public eye. For a person like myself, I came to be known as far as I am known. That little audience that knows me, they know me because I speak about this message. If I came out speaking about any other things, I am a nobody. Okay? But you came to be known by your gifts and your talents and so forth. And so it is quite a thing when you take that and you show people, this is what I believe. I've sifted through the fog. There's a lot of fog out there. There's a lot of nonsense that is being taught out there to people. And you show that you've done that. You've sifted through. And also to the haters of the cross, those that are enemies of their truth. God will still judge the deceptions that you peddle. Don't think it's forgotten. No. The people that you've deceived, you've confused, the people that you've led to despair, the people that you've led to believe contrary, you will still answer for those people. But I'm glad when we have people claim Christ publicly. It's Ricky, and I'll see you on a later on. Y'all be good.